First, what we'll see is we'll see how to declare arrays, declare and use arrays or access elements in an array. Like that, we'll check. So, how do you declare an array? Say the convention is we use the constant keyword. So, constant we have already seen the difference between where, constant, and let. So, you use constant and then you can give some array name like subjects I am giving. You can have a list of items in the array. Say I will give some list of items Java, operating systems, maybe Python, some subjects, a list of strings I'm having here, networks. So you can declare an array using the constant keyword. That is the convention and the norm. When you are using the constant keyword, what all things comes to our mind? Can I have a redeclaration of the array in the same scope? Can I perform this? Will it allow? It will not allow because constant has got block scope and you cannot redeclare it within the same scope. Another thing we have learned is whenever we are declaring anything with constant, what is that we have to do? We have to initialize it. You can't perform or declare something without initializing. So when you're declaring an array, it's important that you initialize it when you're using the constant keyword. And constant has got block scope. That is, when I declare again subjects within this within the two parentheses, so this is going to be treated as a different array, right? So maths and physics, say I'm going to have two elements here. Now, if I want to access an element within the array, how I can access that? I can give console log I'll perform. You give the name for the array and then you give the index. Index starts from 0. So now when I perform subjects of 0, max will be printed because this is accessible only within this scope. If I perform redeclaration of this inside this is allowed because it has got block scope. Understood? What if I want to access Java? How will I access that? I have to access it here. So I should give subjects 0. So let's run this. Let's take a look at the output. See max. So you're able to access subjects of 0 to be max because this is considered to be a different array when compared to this. So this goes with our constant keyword. Nothing new. If you're not clear with constant keyword, please refer to my lecture on constant, difference between where, let, and constant. So there is one other way of declaration, that is you can declare an array like this, constant subjects. You can just give an empty, you can just give two parentheses, you can declare an array like this. And then you can add the elements in the array. For instance, I can say subjects of 0 can be Java. This is also fine. Subjects of 1 can be OS. So you can declare an array like this too. Subjects of so you're using the index to declare this array. And let's log the array out. Let's say subjects. So what is that we are going to get in the output? It's a spelling mistake. Subjects here. Uh, Control Alt 10 and Java OS network. So this kind of a declaration is also fine. Or you are clear with this? The next thing is you can also declare an array using the constant keyword. I mean, you can declare an array using the new keyword. Declaration using the new keyword. How you declare that? It's nothing but you can say constant k is equal to new array. It can be constant subjects is equal to new array. Let me say constant subjects. Let's give some meaningful name. And then you can give that as a parameter. So you can give Java. So you can also declare it like this, Java and OS and networks. And I can log this to the console subjects. So what will be the output? Let's run this. So we have seen different ways of declaring an array. One standard is we'll use the constant keyword. When you're using the constant keyword, it has got block scope. You cannot redeclare and reinitialize within the same scope. And when you are declaring the array, you have to initialize it. These are some standards. So are you all able to follow this? So you can find declaration of array in 3 different ways as we have seen. The next thing, we have already seen this when we are looking at loops. We'll also see that again, how to access, how to print elements in an array. So what we'll do here is we'll print elements. For instance, let's declare an array constant k is equal to, let's have Java, OS, Python, something like that. Let's create this array networks, and let's see how to print elements inside the array. You can use a for loop. For I'll use a for of loop. Let x of k to have some meaningful names. For instance, let's say let x of subjects. So what's going to happen is every subject will be allocated to x, and we can log x out. CLG, we can log x. So this will print all the elements in the array one by one. Java, OS, Python, networks. So you can use a for of loop. You can also use a for in loop. How will you use a for in loop? Instead of, you say in, and x will take the indexes now. So how will you print it? You will say subjects of x. So this is the use of for in loop. So now let's run this. You are again printing the elements within the array. So you can use a for in loop. You can use a for of loop. We have already seen this in a previous class. We can also use a simple for loop, that is for let x equal 0, x less than subjects dot length. So subjects dot length gives us number of items in the array. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 elements. So subjects dot length is 4, x plus plus. This also you can do console log subjects. When you run this, you're going to print all the elements in the array. So you can access elements. You can access individual elements by saying subjects of 0, subjects of 1. You can run a for loop and print all the elements. You can use a for of loop, for in loop, a simple for loop. So what is that we have seen is declaration of arrays, accessing elements within the array and printing them using a simple for loop. So what is the type for an array? What is the data type for an array? So an array is an object in JavaScript. So how can you check the data type for an element? You can just print type of, you give the name for the array. So this should actually print the type. See, it's an object. So arrays are coming under objects in JavaScript. So you can check the type of. There's also other ways to check types of, for instance, you have instance of operator. So you can also use, you can perform this. That is, you can put this inside a if loop, if condition, if subjects instance of array. So this is like subjects is an instance of array. This will be true if subjects is an array. So if it is true, we'll say subjects is an array. So these are ways to check whether a given element is an array. Else we can say it's not an array. It's not an array. That's it. So what should be the output here? So since subjects is an array, this will return true. Let's check the output. The output here is subjects is an array. So you can check whether this is an array by checking whether it's an instance of this. Got it? There's also one more thing. I think it's is array. So you can check like this. There's one more way, that is subjects dot. I just forgot that. Let me check that. Okay. There's one more way to check this. That is You have to check it like this: array dot is array, and then you have to pass the name of the array. So again, this is a Boolean method. Anything that starts with is is a Boolean method. It will return true or false. So now if subjects is an array, this will return true. And what will be the output here? Subjects is an array. Let's run this. So you're going to get subjects is an array. So what is that we have tried in this section? We have checked the type for an array. An array is of type object. And we have checked how to check whether a given element is of type array. You can do that using instance of. You can also perform that using array dot is array and then passing the array name. You can also use the type of operator to check. See, there's one more thing with respect to arrays, properties of arrays. We can say an array can itself contain other objects. An array can contain other objects. What do you mean by that is an element inside an array can contain another array. You can have nested arrays, or we can say multi-dimensional arrays. Multi-dimensional arrays we'll see in the next class. It can contain an array, it can contain a function, it can contain or any other object. So every element here can be an object too. It can be a function here, it can be another array here. Since we have learned arrays, let me show you this demo. That is, let me create another array called test array. In this, I'm going to have some elements like T1, T2, T3, like this. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this subjects and then I'm going to declare it here. The last element will be an object. You see what is happening here? The last element itself is another array. That is possible. So this contains this array T1, T2, T3. So every element here can be another object. It can be another array. It can be a function. It can be any other object in JavaScript. So when I run this, let's take a look at the output. I'm not logging it, right? So let's log it to the console. Let's log subjects. Let's take a look at the output now. So you see here Java OS Python networks is that array, and the last one test T1, T2, T3, it's another array inside this array. So what is that we understand here is every element can be an object in an array. So please practice these things before we go into array methods. I want all of you to complete these things.